Imagine waking up as a small android on a massive spaceship drifting aimlessly through the void, overgrown with rogue machines and secrets buried in every corner. No memory of who you are or why you're here, just the haunting beauty of a world that's equal parts wonder and decay. MIO, Memories in Orbit, grabbed me from the first moment, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. This is a Metroidvania that does something special. Something that goes beyond just exploration and combat. Stick with me through this first look, because what I'm about to show you is a journey worth taking. From the moment MIO started, I knew I was experiencing something crafted with genuine artistic vision. You play as MIO, a nimble android who awakens aboard the vessel, an enormous technological ark that's become a graveyard of its former purpose. The ship drifts through space, abandoned and forgotten. Its AI caretakers, called the Pearls, have mysteriously ceased functioning, and everything is slowly falling apart. But it's not a sterile, lifeless decay. Nature has reclaimed this place in the most beautiful way. Lush vegetation intertwines with advanced technology, creating this surreal fusion of the organic and the mechanical. The art style hit me immediately. This isn't your typical pixel art Metroidvania, nor is it a standard 3D game. The developers drew inspiration from comics, paintings, and anime, and you can feel all of those influences bleeding through every frame. The color palette is rich and varied, shifting dramatically as you move through different areas of the vessel. One moment, you're in these warm, golden-lit corridors overgrown with plants. The next, you're in cold, blue, mechanical depths where the technology still hums with forgotten purpose. The level of detail is honestly breathtaking. I found myself stopping constantly just to look at the background art, noticing little touches that didn't need to be there but add so much character to the world. What really struck me about the visuals is how they tell a story without words. You can see the history of the vessel in its architecture, in how nature has claimed certain areas while others remain pristine. There are these moments where you'll come across what was clearly once a beautiful garden or a grand hall, now twisted and reclaimed by something wilder. It creates this melancholic atmosphere that's both beautiful and deeply sad. You're exploring the corpse of something that was once magnificent, and every room whispers fragments of what came before. The gameplay follows the Metroidvania formula, but it does so with confidence and precision. You start with basic abilities and gradually unlock new powers that open up previously inaccessible areas. But MIO moves with this fluidity that makes traversal feel incredible. The controls are tight and responsive in that way that makes you feel skilled even when you're still learning. There's this perfect flow state you can achieve when you're chaining movements together, using your grappling hook to swing across gaps, wall climbing like a spider, gliding through the air with perfect timing. Speaking of abilities, the progression system is really well thought out. You'll gain game-changing powers like the grappling hook, which completely transforms how you navigate the world. Wall clinging lets you stick to surfaces and climb in ways that feel genuinely different from typical platforming. Air gliding gives you that extra control in midair that turns tricky jumps into graceful arcs. Each new ability doesn't just unlock new areas, it changes how you think about movement through spaces you've already explored. Going back to earlier sections with new powers reveals shortcuts and secrets you never knew existed, and that's classic Metroidvania done right. The vessel itself is designed as this enormous, interconnected labyrinth. It's not just a series of rooms and corridors, it feels like a living organism, with its own ecosystems and logic to how areas connect. The map is sprawling and complex, but never confusing. There's always this sense that you're descending deeper into the ship's mysteries, peeling back layers of history and function. Different zones have their own distinct visual identity and atmosphere, their own bestiary of enemies adapted to that environment, their own architectural style that reflects their original purpose. Combat in MIO is where things get really interesting. You're facing over 30 different enemy types and 15 guardian bosses, which is substantial variety for this genre. Each enemy has distinct movement patterns and fighting styles. The scarecrows are methodical and menacing, requiring different tactics entirely. Learning enemy behaviors is crucial because this isn't a hack and slash where you can button mash your way through encounters. You need to observe, adapt, and use your full arsenal intelligently. Your combat toolkit evolves throughout the game. You have your basic attacks, but then you add layers of complexity. The grappling hook isn't just for traversal, it's a combat tool. You can pull yourself toward enemies for aerial attacks, or use it to evade at the last second. You can unleash orbs as projectiles for ranged combat. You can create decoy clones that confuse enemies and let you strike from unexpected angles. The combat system rewards creativity and experimentation, encouraging you to find combinations that match your playstyle. What really elevates the combat is the customization system. As you defeat enemies, you can scavenge their components and use them to enhance and modify MIO's abilities. This isn't just stat increases, these are meaningful modifications that change how your powers function. You can turn your grappling hook into a deadly lasso that damages enemies, or make it purely defensive as an evasion tool. You can sacrifice your shield to boost your damage output, becoming a glass cannon that rewards aggressive play. The modifier system lets you shape MIO into whatever kind of combatant you want to be, and there's genuine depth in figuring out synergies between different modifications. The boss fights deserve special mention because they're genuinely memorable. Each of the 15 Guardians feels like a proper encounter with its own mechanics to learn and strategies to master. They're challenging without feeling unfair, demanding that you've actually mastered your abilities rather than just acquired them. Some bosses test your movement skills, others your combat prowess, many test both. And they're visually spectacular. These massive machines are corrupted systems that embody different aspects of the vessel's decay. Defeating a boss always feels earned, and the rewards they provide meaningfully advance your capabilities. But what keeps me coming back isn't just the mechanics, it's the atmosphere and the mystery. The narrative is environmental and subtle. You're piecing together what happened to the vessel through observation and interaction. You'll encounter damaged robots that you can repair, and helping them reveals fragments of the Ark's history while granting you bonuses. You interact with the environment itself, discovering terminals, logs, visual storytelling that slowly paints a picture of what this place was and what went wrong. There's this overarching question of why the pearls stopped functioning, what caused the vessel's catastrophic blackout, and as MIO, what your role in all of this actually is. The soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal and deserves its own paragraph because it's that good. The developers describe it as blending lo-fi beats with choral melodies, and that unusual combination works beautifully. There are moments of quiet exploration where the lo-fi elements create this almost meditative atmosphere, letting you sink into the act of discovery. Then the music swells with these ethereal choral vocals during key moments, adding emotional weight and a sense of the epic. During combat, the tempo picks up, driving the action without overwhelming it. The dynamic nature of the soundtrack means it's always responding to what you're doing, creating this seamless audio experience that elevates every moment. The sound design beyond the music is equally impressive. The vessel sounds alive. You hear the hum of old machinery, the creak of metal, the whisper of wind through overgrown corridors, the organic sounds of the plant life that's taken over. Enemy audio cues are distinct and helpful, letting you identify threats before you see them. Your own movement has satisfying audio feedback, the clang of metal feet on different surfaces, the whoosh of the grappling hook, the distinctive sound of abilities activating. It all comes together to create incredible audio immersion. Now, the question that always comes up, is this a co-op game? No. MIO, Memories in Orbit, is a single-player experience through and through. And honestly, it needs to be. This is a deeply atmospheric, exploration-focused game about unraveling mysteries and discovering your own path through a complex world. The pacing is personal and contemplative. Adding multiplayer would fundamentally change what makes the game special. This is your journey through the vessel, your discoveries, your choices in how you customize MIO. It's designed to be experienced solo, and that's absolutely the right decision. The game's structure encourages exploration and rewards curiosity in ways I really appreciate. Secret pathways are everywhere if you're observant. Sometimes it's a subtle visual cue, a slightly different texture on a wall that hints at a hidden passage. Sometimes it's about returning to an area with a new ability and realizing you can now access something that was tantalizingly visible but unreachable before. The game respects your intelligence and your willingness to explore, never holding your hand but always playing fair with its secrets. The difficulty feels well balanced. It's challenging, especially during boss fights and certain platforming sequences, but it never feels punishing. When you fail, it's clear what you did wrong and how you can improve. The game demands precision, rhythm, and timing, but it gives you the tools to achieve that mastery. There's this wonderful learning curve where you go from struggling with basic enemies to flowing through combat encounters like a choreographed dance. That sense of improvement, of genuinely getting better at the game's systems, is incredibly satisfying. The interconnected world design is something I keep coming back to because it's done so well. This isn't a linear game where you move through zones in a predetermined order. The vessel opens up organically, with multiple paths available at various points. You'll often have several areas you could explore, different directions you could push into, and that freedom feels great. But the world never becomes overwhelming or confusing. I love how the game handles backtracking, which is often a pain point in this genre. New abilities don't just open up a few doors, they completely change how you can move through the world. Going back through early areas with late game powers makes you feel incredibly capable. You're zipping through spaces that once challenged you, accessing secrets you couldn't reach before, finding new routes that create efficient pathways through the vessel. The game respects your time while still encouraging thorough exploration. The story, while subtle, has real emotional weight. There's something deeply affecting about exploring this abandoned ark, seeing the remnants of whatever civilization created it, slowly piecing together the tragedy that befell this place. As MIO, you're not just trying to save the vessel, you're trying to understand your own past and purpose. The fragments of narrative you discover raise interesting questions about memory, purpose, and what it means to be alive. It's not heavy-handed or overly philosophical, but there's real substance beneath the exploration and combat. What impressed me most about MIO, Memories in Orbit, is how it balances all its elements. The art direction, the soundtrack, the gameplay mechanics, the atmospheric storytelling, the world design. None of these feel like afterthoughts or compromises. Everything works together to create this cohesive, captivating experience. You can tell this was a project made with genuine passion and artistic vision, not just checking boxes on a genre requirements list. The game also has this quality where it trusts you to figure things out. It doesn't bombard you with tutorials or waypoints. It presents systems and lets you experiment and learn through doing. It doesn't mark every secret on your map or tell you exactly where to go next. There's guidance enough that you won't be completely lost, but freedom enough that discoveries feel earned. That respect for player agency and intelligence is something I deeply appreciate. MIO, Memories in Orbit is a Metroidvania that understands what makes the genre special while bringing its own unique identity to the table. It's beautiful, it's mysterious, it's mechanically satisfying, and it creates a world I genuinely wanted to spend time in and understand. If you're a fan of exploration-focused games with tight controls, meaningful progression, and genuine atmosphere, this is absolutely worth your time. Let me know in the comments what draws you to Metroidvanias, and whether MIO's aesthetic caught your attention the way it did mine. Thanks for joining me for this first look, and I'll see you in the next one.